Good morning. Welcome back. So, have basic today. Sixth day? Okay. We are one third the journey there. A little less than one third. Two thirds is still left. But then the rest of the journey will be a little faster. I was just looking at the deck and yeah, I just thought it took us a longer time to enter than I would have preferred. We've moved some of the things to optional, discussion before we get to the core of the thing. Um, so anybody wants to share something before we begin the day? Any thoughts? Any queries? Uh, disagreement? I just use the mic because I just copied the thing and it barely comes if you all don't use the mic. And I don't think I want to go through this again, this recording thing. The one once is enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know. We will have subtle desire, casual desire, and intense desire. So a desire which I really want to do, but it is not that intense. How can I convert that desire into intense one? For example, I want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do my sadhana, yoga sadhana daily. It's a desire. It is not a subtle desire. I want that to do, but I'm when in the morning when weather is nice, cold and chill, my priority will change to sleep.
Simple answer is you have to go out of Bangalore. The weather's so nice, you feel like eating and sleeping through the day. No, but jokes apart, uh, for any desire, even if not for this particular example, I really think that we are able to, you know, increase the intensity or be able to do it when it becomes essential for us, and it becomes essential for us when we're able to see the need. When we don't realize it's important in the larger scheme of things or for ourselves, is when these desires typically kind of take a backseat for anything. Go back to school, college. There are these kids who would study all the time. There are these, your friends, our friends who would not study or study less. And there were people like me who tried to study 2 days before the exam because I thought I'd die if I didn't study. I mean, there's really the fear of death. When we have time and we talk of education, this is such a vast subject. I mean, what we're talking about, all of reality, all of existence, all of life. Um, in education, for instance, when you look at examination, the fear of failing the examination is almost like the fear of death. If you feel like you will die if you don't clear, and that propels. Now that has given us an impulse, although it is arising out of fear. That fear of the exam, fear of not performing, of failing, of what my parents would say, what the friends would think. I won't get a job. I'll land up on the street. I'll become a cockroach. All this put together propels me to kind of study. And the people who don't do that on time are really the ones who have not thought this through. All right. So when we understand the necessity for anything, then I think it comes up in our priority. And if then the subsequent inquiry is, when do we understand the necessity for something? When we reflected on it long enough, and when we know it, if I were to use a term, the upstream and the downstream, उसके पहले क्या उसके बाद में क्या, what's larger and what comes after it. I mean, really, even if you look at our lives today, I mean, nobody stopped us from trying and finding out how to live in family. None of us bothered to even sit back and reflect, me included. Uh, why is it that I'm ending up marrying? What am I going to do with this person? We've just not given it enough time. We've made such a big decision, right? You're going to spend your entire life with somebody. You're going to share everything you have with this person. My body, my mind, emotion, the wealth, the family, everything is shared. No? Who's doing stuff 50-50? And how much time did you spend thinking over it? Very less. It's a different issue. We wouldn't have got the answers anyway. but we didn't even bother to find out. So we're almost, as humans, we're kind of like in this floating state. And we see that. I mean, that's why it's being called Jeep shape now, because we're better than animals in that we can think and project and control and, but it's still not fully where it should be. The awareness is still missing. So we've become aware of the material dimension. We've not become aware of the behavioral dimension. We're not aware of ourselves. We've not tried to find out who I am because the inquiry has not come up. The inquiry has not come up because, it's not important. And it's not important because that aspect of me is just not working. You see, it's almost like we are looking at this room and it's 6 p.m. And it's getting dark. And we are happy with the darkness. We don't want to see more. That's kind of how we are as individuals today. All of humanity. We're not trying to wonder that there should be more light. At 6:30 p.m. Then turn on the light so we can see clearly. So this entire exercise we're doing is really about seeing. It's my ability to see more and more and more and more. So the exercise part is one small example. And sometimes even after we have, to do with the material. So the exercise is to do with the material dimension. Okay, it's to do with the body, to maintain the health of the body. So yoga sadhana is the hatha yoga sadhana. Sharir ko sadhana. I am trying to regulate. Sadhana sadhana means to regulate, right? To kind of conquer, but actually to regulate. To have control over. And the yoga sadhana is basically trying to do that over the body. But we've been doing other kinds of sadhanas. Bridge building is a sadhana. We've done rocket sadhana. We've done nuclear weapons sadhana. In the material dimension, if you see, human beings have done a lot of sadhana. I mean, if for a moment we think and reflect how many people it takes for us to stay alive and how much human effort has gone into reaching where we have, it is mind-boggling. From the discovery of electricity to the invention of the wire, to the production of the wire, to this camera and the lens and the technology that went into it. All this is sadhana. This camera is a sadhana, your laptop is a sadhana. So it's been focused in one area because the other areas haven't developed enough. And that's where we are actually getting to this morning. As in, yesterday we spoke of these 4 problems and I kind of just tweaked it a little bit. So just to these 2 are sitting down here. So first problem is there's conflict in living at the level of living. It's okay. Let them be. Conflict in living. It will show that this is a family affair, not just intellectual. Family is also there with it and everybody is there and everything is happening. Kids and so one is conflict in living. So when I'm actually interacting with the external world, there is some conflict. There is some success when it comes to the sensory or material, and we've been able to do this as much as we can. Nobody has ever eaten as much as they eat. Even the richest of kings couldn't choose from 8 different world cuisines for like 1,000 rupees. 1,000 rupees ke liye Korean khana mil raha hai. Come on. Right? So this has been maximized and we have excelled at this. But when it comes to people, we either don't have or we have partial feelings. So when I'm actually interacting with you, in the morning something is happening, in the afternoon something else is happening. After 5 years, another thing is happening. And that is a real, perceived experienced cause for my unhappiness because this overrides this. So if you see the activity of the man is what is interacting with the body and really the 3 kinds of experience or tasting that we said, what is called as aswadana. In the Ruchi Mulak, and even in the Ruchi Mulak, we are so specific. I mean, like I've been having coffee since I was maybe in class 8. Okay, I don't know when I started. I just started. My parents let me have it. Adat ho gaya. Now, over the past few years, I can't bear to have coffee that is sweet. Okay, now this is a very, very specific requirement to have. I have to have coffee and it has to have like 4 grains of sugar, 4 crystals of sugar in it. If it's too sweet, I can't drink it. Okay, now even though I have coffee, I have sugar, it's available. I still have a problem because it does not match my exact specification. तो किधर हुआ सो बहुत मुश्किल है ना to ensure that better as it's easy to do at home. It's difficult when you're traveling. It's difficult when you go to somebody's house. So when I go to somebody's house and they ask me, will you have tea or coffee? I'll say get it without sugar. Then I'll say give me sugar. If I've tried saying put less sugar and their less sugar is always more than my less sugar. हाँ, उसका 2 चम्मच है लेस शुगर 1 चम्मच is 4 spoons becomes 2 spoons. Okay, so even in the sensory thing, it's not that we are having a good time all the time, but overall we kind of manage, right? When we are at home, we are most comfortable because we have the bed the way we like it. It could be a poor bed or a rich bed, but how I like it. So the second one is the people part. The third is purpose-based experience. So when we look at Lakshya Mulaka Swadan, what my goal is, we have all these intermediary goals. Chartered accountant, businessman, biggest businessman, engineer, doctor, social service is a whole list. And in that too, we have unfulfillment. So living itself is unfulfilled. Then we go inside. And this actually is an important point that this conflict further leads to conflict because now when you have conflict here, the desire now becomes to get rid of that sensory conflict. It's no longer some big desire to live and all that. You see, the image that is sitting in the chip in the desire is now being driven by my lack of fulfillment outside. So all the activities in the self, the 4.5, are now focused on trying to fix that one problem of the conflict in experience. Now, the second problem is again the conflict in thought, in the vritti or in the disposition. So not only is this leading to conflict in the vritti, this too has a lack of clarity on how to fulfill it. Pradhan Mantri banna, bhaiya kaisa banu? Now this is a problem for the vritti, very difficult. How do you do that? I want to get enlightened. How will I get enlightened? If you don't know, that's going to trouble me. You often read of people जो भटकते हैं ना, a lot of people from overseas come here and they roam around in India looking for spiritual. What is that? It's actually trying to get lack of clarity. I mean, you have a vague idea of what we want and we don't know how to go about it. So that's conflicting thought. In addition to the conflict to do with experience, the third is conflicting in images and understanding. So I've put images slash understanding because at the level that we operate, at which we operate, it is the images that we believe is my understanding. Like I have this nice structure for the workshop and I think this is my understanding. Okay. So that's what we believe. So we think that we have understanding, but it's usually, assumed and we saw this, so we have partial understanding. So that gives us lack of contentment and a lack of long-term vision of life. We are not able to get the overall perspective of life. It's very small. It's like a goat, a cow, like a monkey, jumping, and that's not fulfilling. And another, and the fourth is the basic yearning unfulfilled. Yeah, there is something in us that we feel needs fulfillment, and we are not able to verbalize it. Okay, so really the confusion that we have is on these three levels, and what really is the way out? That is the problem, and that was the problem statement. It took us all this while to get to where we are, and so the way out. So what is the way out? So we focus on and this again is information for you. If you have to do this, I'm still doing it, and if you are uh, keen, then you will have to do it yourself because this is inside you. It's inside me. It's not on the board. The 6 perspectives of evaluation, and we have the swinging pendulum. Yeah. So we're mostly focused on what I like, what I don't like. In fact, even our darsenic philosophy, spiritual, intellectual texts become what I like, I don't like. I like Advaita, I don't like Vishishadvaita. I like Vishishadvaita, I don't like. Not whether this is correct or wrong, whether I agree or disagree. I don't like. You see, where does Dvesha come from? Hatred for another philosophy, for another school of thought, for another religion. Although the subject matter is to do with this, we don't know whether it is telling us what is truth and order and justice, but the subject matter usse sambandhit is related to that. I end up evaluating it based on whether I like it or not. Why? Because I was born into it, or because I adopted it, or because I converted into it. And this, you see, such a small thing, right, is the cause for most of the world's problems. झगड़ा किसको लेकर है? I mean, खाना ऐसा बनाओ वैसा बनाओ. From there to whether my version of the darshan is correct or your version of the darshan is correct, or whether your darshan is correct or mine is correct. Okay, so this really is the key. So we try and understand, or we have to try and understand what uh, what these kids are crawling all over the place. Justice, religion, and truth are. So what happens when we use these perspectives? What does it mean to understand human relationship, order, and the truth? Okay, because we really started with these four dimensions. We said we want to understand our happiness in the material, behavioral, intellectual, and spiritual dimension across individual, family, society, right? And for that we have to understand this. Okay, so when we look at myself, for example, you see me, I see you. What is immediately apparent when I see another human being or myself in the mirror? It's the face. It's the body, it's the size, it's the gender, is it male or female, what clothes they're wearing, what is the haircut, what are the gadgets they have on, how expensive the phone is, juta kaun sa pehna hai. This is what we call as roop. So what is immediately apparent to us when we see anybody or any object is form or roop. So even when we look at existence, we'll see the neem tree. I'll be able to see, a banana, a mango, a coconut. What am I seeing? The root. So when I see a nice scenery in existence and I feel, wow, the world is so beautiful, I'm seeing the root. If I go to a city, I go to Bangalore and I see that plastic and the nala, I say, this is not nice, this is so bad. Or in Pune or anywhere in the world for that matter. Because in the other countries, they've just hidden it away. It's not that it doesn't exist, they push it somewhere else. It's not visible, that's all, but there's still pollution. Yeah? So we see the roof. But there's something else we see beyond that. Like, or even when we see relationships, like when I say, imagine your mother, just imagine your mother this moment. What do you see? The face. Yeah? The smile, the face. So what we really see of myself, of existence, of relationship is the first thing that comes to our mind. Okay? Is root, form. And then if I ask you, or if we were to inquire, saying, let's say you saw me the first day and I saw you the first day. And when we see each other first day, there is some small thought that appears. Oh, so this is the participant. And you must have been, okay, so this must be the guy who is supposed to take it. What is he wearing? How did he talk? Did he see me and smile me? Did he look at me? Did he look away? What kind of clothes is he wearing? Okay, so he's married, but he has a child. The child comes and keeps scolding him. So we start making these observations. And then when we started spending, it's been like what, 5 days? And now you have a sense of what kind of person I am. A little bit. You won't know me as good as my brother and my mother and my wife, obviously, because they've been with me for far too long. But you have some notion of what kind of person I am, and this is called quality. Can you see human quality through the eyes? आंखों से दिखता है. What kind of person I am? Will you be able to make out using your eyes or only your eyes? No. From what the way in which I behave, I'm moving my hands, the kind of clothes I'm wearing, the cost of my phone. You can have an estimate of how much money I may have. But even there, it's easy to fool me or yourself because I can have a lot of money and choose to be with it. There's no guarantee that I will show my wealth. Correct? So when we look at quality, it is not visible to the eye. ये आंखों से दिखता नहीं. Even if you take up, let us say, this I took example of human relationship of a human being. Let us say I look at a neem tree. By just looking at the neem tree, can I understand the properties or the qualities of a neem tree? Is it possible to understand the properties of a neem tree by looking at it? No. We have to take it and we have to do something with it. Okay? We have to eat it. We have to mix it with something, and then we understand that when you take neem, when you mix it with something, this is what it does. When you take water and pour it on fire, it's going to extinguish the fire. Okay, when you take hydrochloric acid and put it in water, it is going to give fume. So it is only when you do something, when you interact with the thing, is that when you know what the qualities or the properties are. So these are visible to the senses very broadly, and this is what is the interaction or the effect that that thing has on us. If we ask what is the rupa of coffee, L is black. What is the property of coffee? It may be good for your heart. It may give you acidity. It's going to increase your blood pressure. And you can't come to that conclusion just by looking at it. You have to do something with it. Okay? So really, and this is a very, when I first encountered this in the darshan, it's really a lot of fun for me because it just opened up a whole new window of looking at the world and myself. Similarly, when we look at ourselves in the mirror, what do we see? We just see the form. But when we think of what kind of person I am, then you're able to come up with, all the memories of childhood, what people think about me, what I think about myself, the marks I got, what the teachers thought, how successful I was. All these are thoughts around my qualities or properties. And that's not visible just through my face. When I was applying for an MBA overseas, I thought I would, so there's a school called the Kellogg School of Business, which is in the top 5. And I thought I'll apply there. I'd taken the GMAT, the scores were good. And of course, back then I had this notion that your English has to be very good, your diction has to be very good to be able to do an MBA. For some reason, there was this little belief stuck in my head. And I happened to chance upon a video back then of the dean of the Kellogg School of Business. He turned out to be this dark-skinned man from Assam. The dean of the Kellogg School of Business in the US was a dark-skinned man from Assam who could barely speak English. You could hardly follow what he was saying. And he was the dean of a business school, the top 3 business schools. And that changed so, when I still remember that, I said, right? My whole belief of why I thought I should be doing the MBA had suddenly gone outside the window. Just like that. Not because he was dark or something, but the intonation of the language. Because when we speak a foreign tongue like English, we carry the role of our mother tongue into it. You can't help it. That's how our tongue rolls. Like Angrez jab Hindi bolta hai, he cannot say the Indian term or the Sanskrit term the way kitna bhi wo practice kar le. He cannot say gyan, he say jnana. Because his tongue will not roll into gyan. Like in Tamil, we have a word called, for banana, we say vara param. So when I said it to my Hindi person, I bola, yaar, itna simple, itna complicate kyun kiya usko? And I just say kela. But you cannot roll the tongue. You cannot say vara. Like he'll be able to do it. We are neighbors. But you cannot do it. Yeah. So, in fact, when we listen to Malayalam, it looks like a jalebi. It's just, every language has a sound. Like when we speak Tamil, my classmates would say it sounds like, vessels are falling. ऐसा लग रहा है कि बर्तन गिर रहा है. And we would say when we listen to Malayalam, it sounds like a Lambretta scooter starting. Okay, that's how it sounds. So every language has a sound. Yeah, but that is to do with form, not with quality or property. So what really happens is when we are living only in those 4.5 activities, and there is a very valid reason for it. You remember, we said there are 4.5 activities. There is tasting, there's choosing in the month, there is weighing and analyzing in the vritti or the disposition, and there is chitran. The remainder are blank, 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 and this is also questionable. Some people are tending towards this, but for most people, it's nowhere there. It's not to be seen. So when we are living only in these 4.5, 1, 2, 3, 4.5, you can see only roop and gul. You can only see properties and qualities. The other two dimensions of reality which exist, which we want to understand, which are going to be cause for our happiness, is really hidden from us because we are not using the faculties that are needed to see it. And what are these two, uh, dimensions? One is the purpose of anything, which is called swabhav. So, for instance, when we came the first day, the first question that was put on the board was, what is it that you really want? Why do you live? And the answer was silence. We don't know. When you put a question of why do you really live, the answer is we don't know. What do we not know? We don't know what our swabhav is. We don't know what our goal is. Okay? So, what is swabhav? The purpose of anything. So, what is the swabhav of community? Its purpose in existence. What is the purpose of existing? What is my purpose? What is the purpose of human relationship? What is the purpose of family? What is the purpose of society? What is the purpose of the natural world? Is an answer we cannot get by just looking at the form and the quality. We can study how it is, we can put it to use, you can interact with it, but you will not know what its basic nature is. Okay, so this is called swabhav or basic nature. And the fourth dimension, so out of 1, 2, 3 and 4, these two are studyable or apparent. So if you look at all of modern science or any science, modern or ancient science, it is studying the qualities or properties of nature. It is studying the qualities and properties of our body. And hence, when we try to define the human being using a scientific approach, we end up only with the physical definition of the human being, which is the body and the brain, and the left parietal lobe and the right parietal lobe. We can't see beyond it. It's not possible because we are not using the tools in ourselves, the faculties in ourselves to be able to see it. Okay? So the fourth dimension that we cannot see is called innateness or religion, and we use the word dharma for it. Not the dharma that we believe in today, as you can see, or order. So what does this see? This basically talks of the intrinsic order in that entity, okay, or what cannot be separated from it. For instance, as a human being, what cannot be separated from me? The need to be happy. Even when I'm trying to become unhappy, I'm trying to derive happiness out of becoming unhappy. Even when I'm trying to make you unhappy, I want to become happy by making you unhappy. Okay? So there is no way I can run away from the need to be happy. And we'll study this more when we look at existence. So what really happens when we use the perspectives of these three, Nyaya, Dharma and Satya, we begin to become aware of what is my swabhav and my dharma. This is my appearance, these are my qualities, but what is my basic nature and what is my innate order? This is what existence looks like, this is its quality, but what is its basic nature and what is the order in it. This is what my family member looks like, this is how they behave, but what is their basic nature and what is their religion. And when we find out, we'll find out that the swabhav and dharma, or religion and swabhav, or basic nature and religion for all human beings is the same, just like it is in nature. Okay, and we'll get there. But for now, to proceed, so this is again, I've already described this, you can read this later on. So to summarize this, remember we are in the preliminary introductory session, so I'll just stop it. So when we use the perspectives of life, health and profit, what are we able to see and understand of myself, other humans, nature and existence? I am able to see only appearance and behavior. इसने ऐसा किया, उसने ऐसा किया. She is like this, she is like that. He did this, he did that. Those people are like this, those people are like that. Okay? This is what gold does, this is what iron does. This is what a nuclear device does. But should I use it? I don't know. This is an answer you won't get. I can make a nuclear bomb because I figured out how to make one. But is it correct to use it? Is an answer we cannot, arrive at just by studying the properties. Okay? What are we not able to see about these four things? We are not able to see our basic purpose, our basic nature, and we are not able to see the fundamental being or innateness of these four things. तो जो दिखता है, ये दिखता है, ये भी पता है, यू नो आई एग्जिस्ट, यू नो आई हैव फैमिली, यू नो देयर इज अ सोसाइटी, यू नो देयर इज नेचर, यू नो देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एग्जिस्टेंस, but we only see appearance and form. We don't understand basic nature and we don't understand innateness. So what really happens, the resulting aim of living is just largely material or limited to the formful. जो दिखता है उसके साथ हम जीते हैं, है ना? We are able to live with what is visible. So, and we can take numerous examples to understand this. Okay. For instance, do I have a successful marriage? Well, the showbazi I did in marriage means I had a successful marriage. It doesn't matter whether the marriage was happy or not. It doesn't matter whether I knew why I was getting married. But as long as there was band baja and there was a lot of gold to be shown, it was a successful marriage. But does it work? It doesn't, because after the marriage is over, this takes over. So when you're fighting, you can't hang gold in front of the other person. Like, sona diya, jhagda mat kar. It doesn't happen. बोला ले सोना तेरा खानदान ले सब वापस ले everything goes flying back. बोला तू ले जा अपना सोना. I don't want anything because we are not satisfied only with form. Yeah, we want the behavior of the person. So we marry somebody for the behavior, not for the root. So if I end up making appearance the sole criterion for marriage, is it likely to be a successful marriage? Only root. May or may not be. We don't know. Maybe the person is also a good person and has, his understanding and so on. Okay, but just to give you an idea, we won't get into very prolonged discussion of this. And what happens is, when we use only the perspectives of like, health and profit, ya priya hit labh, we largely ignore or have assumed behavior, intellectual and spiritual aspects of living. And these are formless. ये दिखता नहीं है. So see, from day one when we started, I asked, out of these four, are all four necessary? We all said yes. We all have beliefs in them? Yes. Does our happiness depend on all four? Yes. Where are we ordinarily focused? Here. Why? Because you can see. I cannot see this through the eyes. I can't see my own intellect through the eyes. I don't know whether I exist. I don't. Okay. And ये तो भूल ही जाओ. Yeah. So that explains why we have partial views. And we have partial views because we are only using partial activities or abilities in us. So what do? This again is just another representation. When we live with 4.5 activities, we are incomplete. So what happens? We're using the perspectives of life, health and profit or priya hit labh. These are functional. What can you see of reality? Appearance and properties. How silicon behaves, how gold behaves, but what to do with gold? I don't know. What to do with human beings? Should I bomb human beings? Should I take care of them? Should I banish them? Should I convert them? Is an answer I will not get here. Okay. So, hence my aspect that we generally tend to understand is only the nature. We are not able to understand self-relationship and hence the aspect of living is only material, behavioral, intellectual, spiritual. So this is grayed out. This is vague. It is foggy, like it is on the screen right now. Right? This is foggy. Dikhta nahi. And yadi dikhta hai, then there are too many theories to choose from. Then my head gets muddled. Baba, which one do I take? There's too many babas, too many darshan, too many philosophies. How do I get there? Yeah, so we cannot see these aspects or have beliefs about them. Yeah, I'll pause.
So when we are saying that we are only living materially when we are in creative lava like self and profit, and we are not actually going into human relationships, self existence, but we do uh, like
Experience them.
experience relationship and we we do take care of
Yeah, we do.
relations.
So I'm not, so that's the limitation of two-dimensional diagram on the board. It's a representation. This doesn't mean that we're living only materially. Our primary focus is material. And even when we're looking at relationships, we are looking at it through the lens of appearance and properties, through the lens of material.
And if, let's say a relationship, I mean, again going back to the first that flowchart where we are saying that we are only focusing on material and not looking at behavior, intellectual behavior, family and society. So when whatever भी जो निर्वाह होता है फैमिली में, अगर if we are taking care of parents and the motive
Yeah,
is
it's
not
not profit.
material,
Yeah.
then in that sense it's still material
No, no,
because
it's still not. No, that's not what it means. What this basically means here is that we are looking only at the formful. You're looking at it. It's called material. I mean, what is happening is when we are writing material there, what it means is the focus of education and society hence is only on material. As individuals, you see, how much ever society keeps telling us you run after profit and we believe that profit is the sole motive of life. That's not how we are and who we are. Every mother takes care of a child, right? And that's not only for profit. There are a lot of sons, many of us, I included, all of us, we take care of our parents as much as we can, and sometimes we can, and sometimes we cannot, and that's not for profit. We give our children in marriage, we pay for that marriage, it is not for profit. We know it's not that there is a profit motive there. It is limited. So what's written below in the grayed out area is we cannot see these aspects or have assumed beliefs about them. It's partial. It's not that it doesn't exist, but we are not properly aware of it, and there are beliefs in it. Because remember that when you're putting up something, it is encompassing all of humanity. So there would be a rainbow range of people. There can be some people who are very ruthless, only material focused, marriage to. Abhi dekho, you look at, I'll give an instance of a marital relationship, which is material mixing hai. For instance, when these Hollywood actors get married, they get into something called as a prenup. I think it's now very common in the West and maybe in India also. A prenup is a prenuptial agreement between the lawyers of the boy and the girl who are signing a contract of what will be the rules and conditions of divorce and how we'll split the wealth in case we get divorced before they get married. Okay. You are entering into a financial contractual agreement that I will only give you, all of them have it. Jeff Bezos has it. ये जितने बड़े नाम है, all of them have a prenup. आप सोचिए relationship का हालत क्या है? I mean, is it profit? What are you marrying for? So you see, Admi is not in cells. They are not in L3 and L4 cells. When you represent it in the table, it seems like this is isolated. There are holes here. Okay? There are holes here. But this is not complete. We are not certain about it. And if you look at human beings, you'll find them in this spectrum. And those who are on this side have vagueness. And those who are on this side, तो किसी में ये ज्यादा है, ये बहुत कम है. किसी में केवल ये है, ये बहुत कम है. किसी में 50-50, किसी में 40-50, किसी में 40-80. But the further you go here, you will find there's a lot of vagueness and a lot of confusion. There's no certainty. That's what it means. It's not that all of humanity is only within this. But if you take this prenup kind of marriage, I would say where it's more profit-centric than it is nyaya-centric. Okay? Yeah. Mike Togoli.
We just discussed that which are things which are a dimension of seeing, which has a physical form.
Yeah.
That is the things which we see and we experience and we do. But we experience things in behavior where like there is a form, like for example happiness or anger, which doesn't have a form.
Yeah. So that is quality, properties, gun.
So
that is roop, then you have gun. That's all. So only roop is form. Okay. Then you have gunas. Then you have swabhava. Then you have dharma.
how do we approach these things like
By focusing on those aspects of which is what we've been doing. So how do I understand what my swabhava is? He said whatever is being said here, see whether it is naturally acceptable to you. For example, Vishwas is one of my swabhava. Assurance, living with affection. It's also a quality, but it's more fundamental than that, and we'll see that. So what is my innateness? So I have to understand who I am. So we spoke about how my innateness is first, who am I? So I'm not the body. I'm with the body. My experience is compound. But I by myself am not the body.
Here also to know the formless things.
Yeah.
This is the methodology we have to follow.
This is the methodology and the input you will be getting. The input you are getting about things you cannot see. See, from the beginning of the workshop, one of the reasons a workshop like this can be a little difficult is that you cannot picturize, you cannot make a form of any one line here. I didn't say let's understand beautiful butterflies and let's understand the coexistence in nature by looking at butterflies eating caterpillars. वो National Geographic में दिखता है, that who feels like there is coexistence, but that is formful, that's limited. Okay. In fact, the other interesting thing is that these four are inseparable, which is why when you see a beautiful scenery, we feel that there is some order. Although you cannot see all of the order, and sometimes you may doubt it, because then when you see what is happening with humans, you're wondering where is the order? The order is in plants, it's in animals, right? It's in vegetables. There's order everywhere. There's order in my own body. The body is a beautiful order. Everything is working beautifully, and if one organ was not there, we'd have hell to pay. I mean, if you had to ensure just the acidity level in your stomach, we would be doing that the entire day. वो अपने आप 2.5 है pH. So it ensures it burns up any kind of foreign object that goes in. But when we look at humans, we don't understand order. Okay? So we use, so this is what it is. If you want to understand form and properties, let's say, of nature, you have to go and study physics, chemistry, and biology. If you want to understand forms and properties of myself, of my body, I have to understand medicine. I have to study medicine. If I want to study forms and properties of the brain, I have to go and study neuroscience. If I want to understand forms and property of my family and society, I have to understand sociology and take counseling classes. Self-help. यही तो करते हैं. When you go to a self-help or a counseling class, what happens? You're disturbed. The guy knows the rules by which you get disturbed. He sits, he talks to you, you open up. I cry, he cries, we all cry, and we feel better. We go home, we feel healing हुआ. Yes, sub, it works, but it's in the domain of forms and properties. So there are different subjects for that. When we study a darshan, like this one, Jeevan Vidya, and we'll explain why it is called Jeevan Vidya in some time, we are dealing with this. And human qualities which will be according to this. So you see, when we're talking of the self, it doesn't have any form. You cannot. It's written on the table, but when it works in you, it's not like analyzing is on the right side and evaluation is on the left side in you. Nahi hai na? Analysis is also happening and weighing is also happening. You can check it. Sensory impulse. I mean, every day today we got dosa and chutney. So you should memorize that memory. It was different from the idli, which is different from the semia, which is different from the poha. So that was one level of my experience. But while I'm eating the dosa, I'm wondering that it is a little brownish, so it was organic. I'm not being organic. Where did they get from? How much did it cost? Which are? Dosa chal raha hai. The mouth is chewing on the dosa. The vritti has gone off into an imagination. Where did they get from? Why is India not organic? Why am I not organic? ये विचार शुरू हो गया. Right? So we know that there are two distinct levels of activity in us. So to answer your inquiry, yeah, that's what. So this is the input is going to be about this. Using this method, you have to listen and then you have to study it. So this is a beginner's method. Once we proceed, I have the last deck, I'll show you again beginner's view of what are the methods ahead. Like last evening you were talking about the yoga, right? So in yoga, the method, what is the method? It is an 8-stage method. So the yoga method starts with first you have to read and understand the Sankhya Darshan by Kapila. Once you do that, you have to adopt the yama and niyama, the 5 yamas and the 5 niyamas. Then you have to make the body supple and able to sit in one place using pranayama and yoga, asana. Once you do that, then you have to pay attention to your senses and withdraw your mind from the senses, this is called pratyahara. Once you're able to do that, then your attention will be fixed on some object and stay there for a very long time. That's called dharana. Then you have to take your attention and put it inside one point of that dharana. That's called dhyan. And then you have to get rid of the object on which you're giving dhyan, in which all objects themselves will disappear, and then it's called samadhi. And that's called, knowledge. There. That's the method. But we don't want to do that. We don't want to get away from the senses and we don't want to go into nothingness. What do we want to do? We want to become aware of everything I'm doing. We want to become aware of myself. I don't want to withdraw myself into something. I want to become aware of what's there inside. I want to be able to fulfill my living. I want to be able to make sense of the whole. Yeah. So we'll see, if you proceed with understanding this darshan, you'll come to see that it subsumes the understanding and state that the other darshan spoke about. Okay? But that was just by the side because we had an offline, but not part of our introductory thing. Yeah. You don't have to worry about the Yoga Sutra and it's very interesting. Yes? No. Check ಮಾಡಿ
So you have used the term dharma here in disposition while describing Kulan.
Yeah.
And again you are using the term dharma in dimension.
Yeah.
Both the meanings are same.
Both are the same. Here when we are using it here, dharma in disposition as one of the drishtis or perspectives in the vritti, it is to do with human dharma. Okay, because when I live, I have to be according to my dharma. Okay, and because I'm living with everything, hence my dharma includes understanding the dharma of everything else. Because I have to live with everything. See, that's the thing. That's the, whatever you want to call it, the beauty or the curse of being a human being. For a goat to live, it does not need to understand the elephant or the cow or me. In fact, it doesn't need to understand. It is already a goat. It has the qualities of a goat. It has the swabhava of a goat. And it has the dharma of a goat, which is to survive. The dharma of a goat, you'll see by tomorrow, is to survive. It has the will to live. It wants to live. Which is why when I catch it and try to cut it open, it runs and it shouts and it bleeds. Okay, so some people who give up non-vegetarianism do it when accidentally they end up seeing an animal being slaughtered and they realize, oh my God, I don't want to be party to that. Some people, not all. But in human beings, the beauty or the curse is, in order to be able to live as a human being, you have to understand the goat, you have to understand the cow, you have to understand why the goat exists, then you have to understand the wife goat, you have to understand the husband goat, then you have to understand why the husband goat doesn't talk to that husband goat, then you have to ensure this husband does not run away with the wife of that goat, right? Very complicated. You have to understand why there are goats, why could there not have been goats, who made goats, and you have to say God made goats, whose God, your God, my God. When I started reading philosophy, there were some Western philosophers who would write that human beings need to be as sure as animals because animals are instinctual and they know what to do. And when I reflected on what I want to do, I realized I drew a blank. I didn't know what I wanted to do. That's why I quit my job. I wanted to find out what I wanted to do. I don't want to do this. I'm just giving me money, but I don't want to do this. And there's no answer. And I would envy people, that who were, let's say, a cricketer. At least he knows he wants to play cricket, and that's his life. A musician, at least he knows he wants to sing, and that's his life. But I want to do everything and nothing. So there's no answer. Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be the orderliness which is there in the coexistence.
Yeah. So my dharma is essentially everything that is happening inside me. So I will be in order. My understanding is according to my realization. My imaging is according to my understanding. My thoughts are according to my desire. My action is according to my thought. not according to your thought, her thought, his thought, somebody else's thought. Okay? And because I am going to live with the rest of nature also, hence to be able to live with the rest of nature, I have to understand the dharma of nature also. Because although I don't understand the moon, I mean, I don't have to live with the moon. I'm intellectually curious about the moon. So my dharma includes understanding the moon also. This is the meaning of being a seer. We said, the human being, I am the seer. Yahi dekhne wala hai. And what is to be seen? The first thing to be seen is myself. Through that, I'm going to see everything else. Yeah. So, nice. So this is the inference. So I won't read out again. As you know, it's a snapshot from the book. But basically what happens is partially functioning perspectives leads to partial cognitions of the dimensions of reality. Only Rupa and Gun leads to partial focus in the aspects of understanding and living. Partiality. Nobody wants to be partial. Like if we make this inquiry in this classroom right now, do you want to live with partial understanding or complete understanding? What is the answer? As if yeah. No human being can say I want to live with partial. बच्चे को भी पूछो तेरे को पता है कि नहीं पता मेरे को सब पता है. My daughter thinks she knows everything. I bought a spray can and I wanted to paint. I have nothing to do at home, so I was going to paint the fridge with some. I went to some do-it-yourself store, got some spray can, and she sat there and she started trying to tell me, "Don't hold it like this. Don't." I said, "You've never seen a spray can before. I mean, learn from me. Otherwise, you'll have trouble." She said, "No, no, no. I'll teach you. Give it to me." And she said, "Psst," and the whole thing just became one blob. And I said, "What happened?" She said, "It became a blob." I said, "Do you know?" She said, "No." I said, "Give it to me. I'll teach you." So I said, "You have to take it from a distance and press this." So, as human beings, we implicitly want to know, and we want to know everything. No human wants to feel that he knows less. Even if he knows less, he wants to believe that he knows more. यही problem है. The reason we are stupidly overconfident is because it is a dharma for us. And even when we don't know, we want to imagine that we have it. I imagine that I have knowledge even when I don't have knowledge. That's why we're so confident. Yeah. So this is an inference. And so what happens? So as you can see, the activities in the self, and we have to focus on what is justice, order, and truth. And what is justice, order, and truth? Of what? Of myself, of existence, and of living. Okay. What are these realities? So when we pay attention to these realities, they are automatically concerned with the perspectives of justice, order, and truth. All right. So yeah. So basically, we have to be able to image this, and that image on these animations. Yeah. So what happens when this happens? Then this activity, these 5 that I didn't write there, they start one by one. So the first activity to start, first, what will happen is we'll start evaluating using these perspectives and try to image reality based on these perspectives in the previous slide. If we do that properly, then the faculty of contemplation starts. This is called Chintan. What happens in Chintan? We are able to understand this Swabhav and Dharma for the first time directly. Okay, so this is my Swabhav and Dharma. What is the problem today? I am doing Chitran, I am doing imaging, but there is no basis for it. The basis is outside beliefs. If I read something, that becomes a belief. You tell me something else, this belief. He shouts and tells me something, I get convinced, it becomes another belief. So I have beliefs about myself, existence, and living. So what do? I take the information that is true, I study it, I evaluate it, I reflect on it, I examine it, I live according to it. And then at one point in time, when I get Chintan, I understand what my Swabhav Dharma is, what my real purpose is. Alright. And when all this comes together, it is called comprehension or both. Alright. So when we have contemplation, it is called Sakshatkar. This is an introductory workshop. I'll just set the words and let it be there. So the second thing that happens is what is called as comprehension. When we have comprehension of the order, the dharma of reality, we get the sankalpa or the determination that this is how I will live. Because now I have seen the entirety, I know this is truth and hence this is the way I will live and there is no other way in which I will live. Iske pehle what is living? Based on my images, which are fluctuating. है ना? Adi Shankara said something, I live like that. Some other guy came and convinced me, I live like that. Because I feel it is better. So I am trying to figure out what is correct. But here I am able to see it for myself, comprehend it for myself. So I live according to, so I will determine. So now my images are being decided by my own determination and not by some fluctuating stuff that I got from outside. And when this is completed, the last thing to be done is to have realization of the truth. So this Swabhav and Dharma are progressively understood in this domain. So what happens? My qualities, my gunas now become according to my own Swabhav and Dharma. And when I'm living, I know the Swabhav and Dharma of nature, I know Swabhav and Dharma of humans also. Okay? So this completes my need to know. Because I am according to my own Swabhav and Dharma, all the conflicts within me will drop off. Because all the conflicts are because I am not according to reality. I am not according to my own Swabhav and Dharma. So this is what we need to do. As humans, this is our destiny. So when this happens, really we start operating. Yeah, so I'll just pause here because I gave a new input. Ji.
As you were saying, like that example which you gave, like, the celebrities of abroad who, like before getting married, they do some legal procedure to ensure the, process after divorce. Like, because this shows a very, worst culture, I can say, and it is coming to India also, and we can see a lot of divorces, in our families around. So of course, like as we say in this philosophy that education is the only way, but like, is there any immediate solution wherever we are into our families, like how we can ensure that, like, that part of the culture, for example, their divorces are very normal, that is coming to India. So how we can stop that, which was not here before 25 years ago? So is there any, immediate solution?
No.
Or what small steps we can take so that we can at least make sure into our families?
We can only take steps for ourselves. Yeah, but if you're looking at our families, then, dialoguing on relationships, they're not going to sit through for 5 days listening to all this, right? I mean, the thing is, unless they go through all this, it's not going to be possible for them to see the larger picture. But yeah, one way is to be able to dialogue with them on the purpose of marriage and things like that. But oftentimes, if somebody has decided to go or separate from someone, then the causes are quite deep, and it may not be possible often to, roll that back just on the basis of conversation. That can only happen if both sides are able to see that they went wrong. They're divorcing because they really, uh, uh, you know, um, headbutting each other. We're not willing to listen. But sometimes things change. I have a friend, somebody XYZ. His sister was married, and this boy, after about one and a half years, or maybe 2 years, he said he wants to, annul the marriage. And when they asked why, he said, "I'm bored." Huh? So she was devastated. What do you mean you're bored? I mean, you just got married. He said, "I'm bored. I don't see the point of being married. I like it with my friends. I go and play cricket and table tennis and squash and badminton. I have more fun with them than I have with you. And if it's just cooking, then I can anyways have a cook. What's the point of being married?" They didn't have children. So this girl was completely devastated. So what did they do? He filed for an application for divorce. So what happens is it goes to the family court, and then the procedure in the country, and this is interesting, is that they will appoint a government counselor who will counsel both the sides. The Sarkari counselor managed to convince the boy that marriage is good and you go back. Sometimes the government works in strange ways. है ना? सरकार रोड नहीं बना पाती है, ट्रेन नहीं चला पाती है, शादी जोड़ दी, तो एबल टू गेट टुगेदर वेरी using the government system. So sometimes counseling helps. Okay. Because really, when we are divorcing, what's happening? It's not that there is a mismatch in group, there's a mismatch in qualities. There's a huge mismatch in properties or qualities. And what are the qualities? There are only four qualities. Either my material base, my need for food, fear, coitus, and sleep is different. My sensory needs are completely different. Okay, usually in a very frivolous marriage that can be grounds for divorce. इसको नॉर्थ इंडियन अच्छा लगता है उसको साउथ इंडियन अच्छा लगता है वी कांट स्टे टुगेदर दैट्स अ वेरी फ्रिवलस रीजन इट कैन बी ट्रू समटाइम्स बट the other ground for divorce is what I want to do as work and what you want to do as work is totally different. So if you want to add something to that, that's really things work and lifestyle. Yeah. I want to go live on the tree in a machan. And my wife says she wants to live in a 5 bedroom apartment in Bombay. If you go your way, you go. Man, sorry, wrong number. है ना क्या करेंगे wrong number लग गया okay so this can be one ground alright so in basic not basic but basal relationship and we won't get into very detailed analysis of why that happens but a basal relationship is based purely on the body which is to do with food fear coitus and sleep alright the other reason for divorce is our behavior, our properties don't match. How you talk, what you said, why I said is not matching. The third is the way of thinking is not matching. Nobody will divorce because she and I have a different version of string theory. उसको छोड़ देते हैं ना. You don't believe in string theory, I'm going to divorce you. तो नहीं होता है. You'll still be together. I mean, if string theory is trying to come up with the original, I'm just taking that as a random example. But really, what happens is we enter marriage unwittingly. Sometimes we're looking at the form of the body, right? We're looking at the form. We're looking at the rupa or those properties that you like. After some time, we find out that there are things, and ways of doing things. Ka matlab ways of functioning also, no? Ways of doing things. Ways of doing things is also included. We find that is clashing. The qualities are clashing. The ones that I like have gone to the background and now the ones that I don't like are developing. And then slowly irritation starts. And it starts getting accumulated here. So the next time you see that person, it's not the person I like or used to like, but the person who did this to me, is continuing to do this, and this becomes a knot. And then it becomes impossible. So it's not that divorces are increasing now. The choice to walk away has increased now. I think people anyways had these problems. But because of the way society was, it was not permitted that a male will go away from a female. The other point was also, pehle ye tha that the women were very submissive because they were not exposed to the outside world, they were not educated, they never had an opinion. A woman had to know how to cook, only hits. It does not matter what the woman likes, no prayer. It does not matter what the woman, whether she knows business, no love. It doesn't matter whether she knows the religious text, no dharma. खाना बनाओ, roti, chawal, sambar, है ना, and fulfill the bodily needs. It is restricted to an object of sensory gratification or providing food for the family, material for the family. इतना ही था. Now women suddenly have their own sensory, choices. They have their own positioning within the family. I am equal to you. They have their own opinion. Who wants to live with somebody like this? इतना ही हुआ अभी. So this is also happening. That's the reason it's going up. So because the problem is so profound, it's not possible to just talk to somebody, which is why sometimes counseling works. Counseling as in, you're better off together than away. So you try and understand the other person's point of view. Yeah. Huh?
in our institute of marriage, we get to know about behavior, material, or intellectual things only after marriage.
About of the other person.
Other person.
Yeah, before
So
marriage
like
you
how?
cannot.
So now at least we have an option, choice. Either woman or a man have a choice. There is certain written rules or a proper rules to walk away. So instead of living a suppressed life,
Yeah, that's right. That's a call that it's a very subjective call. If we feel that the water is gone or the dam is broken and there's no way you can get water back into the dam, all right. Uh, yeah, then it's probably better to walk
but
away.
even here also we see divorce as a negative thing or a bad thing or something which should not happen. Why that mentality is there? It is our injected
That's
thing,
one
right?
part. One part of it is a societal belief, maybe 80%, but the other 20% is also that perhaps that there is some implicit uh, acceptance that you are better off together than you are separate. Because a lot of people who separate, it's not that they have life easy after that. People write in books that I have been relieved, I feel liberated. Then they go backpacking around the world and they get lost, and then they find somebody else, and it happens again. So the root problem is not solved. You've only taken a break, like we take a break from our session. You have to come back.
If you fail in a relationship with a person, which means something is lacking within us.
Yeah, in us
Right.
and both.
So again, we are going and creating another relationship is either blindness or
Yeah, but how many people stay divorced after divorcing? Some people will say, I've had it, I'll never marry again. But that's also very cultural, right? What's happening, what's permissible in the society. A lot of things that we do with our lives are inceptions from society. So if you live in a very liberal society where it is really okay to have multiple marriages, the thought of marrying again will come to you automatically, like it is in the Western society, right? Well, I remember when I went to there was a joke, it's just a joke. I'm not trying to denigrate American society, but, uh, so the conversation is, there is a problem at home, and what does the husband tell the wife? Honey, your kids and my kids are fighting with our kids. Because we both had children from previous marriages, and now there is a mess up between, and you, and that's very common. A lot of people, a lot of my colleagues who are very nice people, all right, had children from two marriages. So where society is liberal, where society allows you to remarry and keep trying, then you would go ahead and do that. But in a society like ours, where it's not normal and perhaps not that liberal when it comes to the way you conduct your body and relationships, that is going to have an effect on us. I mean, and nothing can be done about it. That's because of mathas and ashrams like this. Our society is the way it is. Whatever is left of it is still holding is because of places like this. Even though it's belief, एक पावर है. देखो, there's nobody here. बट इसके होते हुए इस गांव में दारू नहीं पी सकते, या छुप के पीना पड़ेगा. You can't come here and drink and smoke. If you do, some villager will come and throw you out. So ये जो है ना, the last mile of religion, which is really going into culture, is really what helps keep society together before it is able to understand its true purpose. So materialism really is, I will have no belief in anything that is like a rule for living, and I will do whatever my body demands. But you're not just the body, that's the problem. Any divorce before or after marriage in a relationship leads to a heartbreak, it leads to stress, it leads to emotional trauma, it leads to pain. You want to forget, so you leave the country, you leave your job, change the job, do something, go swimming, learn a skill. ये सब क्या basically distractions है ना. So the long answer is that before marriage we all sit and go through 4 or 5 of these sessions and then decide to get married. So who has the time? When I wanted to get married, I told my teacher I think I should get married. I was 31. I'm just putting it as an anecdote, okay, and then we move ahead. He said, एक काम करो, जो भी लड़की है ना, उसको बोलो आप कम से कम 3 जीवन विद्या शिविर करना, कम से कम 3. Okay, he said, get her to do at least 3 जीवन विद्या शिविर. After that, you sit down with the girl and ask her, तुमको जीवन विद्या क्या समझ में आया? If you feel she has understood, you go ahead and marry. Otherwise, you tell her, तुमको जीवन विद्या समझ में नहीं आया, you will not be able to live. I cannot live with you. I looked at him and I thought, मैं तो ऐसा बोल दूंगा, उसका मामा तो आके मेरे को मार डालेगा. You get a girl to come in India. If you get a girl, her husband, I mean her, Tauji and uncles and parents will all come and beat me to pulp. Who do you think you are? You call हमारी घर की लड़की को लेके तू 21 दिन बिठाता और बोलता शादी नहीं करूँ तो पिटाई करूंगा तेरा. I thought मेरे से नहीं बनेगा ये. So, and see, and so Gauri did a session. She did 1.5 sessions, and then we decided to go ahead and marry. Do we not have disagreements? We have plenty. All right. Are we spiritual in nature? Not at all. We don't have any fights over whether there is God or it doesn't matter whether there is God or not. What the hell? God can go wherever they want to go. Okay. We'll talk about what is spirit and spiritual tomorrow, maybe. But those are not the arguments we have. Are we having intellectual arguments on quantum theory and string theory? No. What are the arguments? Why did you leave the laptop here? I've told you 5 times to shut the bathroom door when you come out. Why don't you, fold the bed sheet when you get up? Hmm? And why did you say this? So, it's really to do with our, like I said, not just a lifestyle, because our lifestyle is very close. Both our parents are retired from a similar position in the government. They get the same pension. They come from the same community. So one of the advantages of marrying within your community, a lot of these things are already taken care of. I'm not promoting that, but what I'm saying is a lot of the belief systems in society, the marriages, the language, the food habits, everything was a match. So we don't have a fight over I'm saying I want to eat tandoori chicken and she says I'm vegetarian. I don't have that fight because both of us are vegetarians. It's not a problem. But what are the issues? The issues are more emotional in nature. The issues are actually when we go to relationships, you'll see is more a question of how much we are able to respect the other person, how much we are able to listen to each other. The problem in relationships really is not because the other aspects don't match. It's really because we've not bothered to find out about the other person. We're really bullheaded. We don't want to listen. I just want to do my way or the highway. That's the problem. I will sleep the way I want to sleep. I will get up when I want to get up. I will do the bed sheet because it is my bed sheet. We don't know how to let go. We are obstinate. And why are we obstinate? Because it's a bandhan. And what is the bandhan? The my man, wants to do what it is used to doing. My vritti wants to hold on to the views it wants to hold on to. My chit wants to do the chitran that it believes to be right. She is also the same. तो किधर से तो जो गिव एंड टेक बोलते हैं इट्स अ ह्यूज थिंग. So previously, I think what really happened also was that in rural agrarian economies, there was no time to fight. You have to get up in the morning, keep the boiler. You have to go put the cows, take out the cow dung, throw it outside, get water from the well, wash the clothes, dry it. If you some bachcha roega, the guy will come back. Where is the time to fight? What will you fight on? Anyways, everything is in disarray. Nothing is so clean. There are scorpions running on the wall. In our village wall, there will be a scorpion running inside. Who will you fight it? Why didn't you clear the scorpion? So you idiot, I'm cooking. Where will I go and clear that? Now we have a cook, we have a washing machine, we have a geyser, the water comes in the side, everything is coming in Swiggy and Zomato. Now I'm free of it. Chal, kusti ladenge abhi. Because there's nothing to do.
How to overcome that?
Overcome. Start farming. Become so tired through the day. Basically be so tired through the day कि तुम सोचोगे ही नहीं वो क्या शायद तेरे को जो सोचना है तू सोच. मैं सोने जा रहा हूँ. It is 8 o'clock. My limbs are paining. Or live in a roof like this, when it is raining and both of you are sitting with umbrellas at night. रात को बारिश हो रही है, पानी टपकने लग गया, क्या झगड़ा करोगे? You'll be struggling to keep yourself warm. But that's besides one. So my intent of cracking that joke was really some of these problems have been accentuated by our very comfortable lifestyle. There is less to do. Especially in Indian cities, they're pampered and spoiled because labor is cheap, food is available everywhere. Somebody is willing to come and give you something for $5. Right? For 5 rupees is willing to come and give you potatoes and vegetables. It's become even worse with these 5-minute and 8-minute and 2-minute deliveries. People have become very lazy. And now there's nothing to do. And we are both lost, right? We don't know why we were born. We don't know why we got married. We are done with making the babies. Now what will you do? You don't want any more babies. एक फेज रहता है ना, लेट्स मेक बेबीज और लेट्स स्टॉप बेबीज फ्रॉम हैपनिंग, वो खत्म हो जाता है. देन व्हाट विल यू डू? सो the long term solution is to be able to understand myself, understand the other person by understanding myself and understanding the truth, the nature of relationship. So when we talk of swabhav, we'll talk of swabhav of all the seven relationships. What is the swabhav of the husband-wife relationship? What is the swabhav of the father-son relationship? What is its purpose? Are these relationships man-made? Are they artificial or are they natural? Yeah. So is it man-made? Well, it's not. Everything is what we think. Huh? Yeah, but it is natural for humans. We'll get to that. Everything is man-made. I mean, our knowledge about ourselves is also man-made. It's not sitting on a tree somewhere. This is physics. है ना, inscribe करके रखा है. Everything is human thought of. Everything the human does is human thought of. Even cutting rice and eating it, dehusking it is human thought of. No other animal can do it. Who can dehusk rice? कोई नहीं कर सकता है. Some birds are able to eat the coconut and open the badam fruit. मेरे घर पे बादाम ट्री है. So the birds will come and it's very astonishing. When you try it with a stone, it's very difficult to open the badam fruit. वो टूट 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 करके खोल देता है. अच्छा सा चटनी बना के eat of the badam fruit. We have lot of it just be fallen in Pune. So we'll have to understand what is relationship. And the problem is we don't understand ourselves. We don't understand the first thing about ourselves. We don't understand the first thing about the other person. Because we don't know what is happening. Yeah. When we understand that the other person is a dynamic entity that feels pleasure and pain, that has a set of perspectives, that has its own chitran, that has its own views, then I think we start getting a little more accommodative about the other person. It takes time, but that's the only way to fix it. No, but if staying together that is avoiding the problem, but if staying together, what he means to say is if staying together is so traumatic, then what will you do? Then it's too late and then you just have to buy a farm or even within just start working for Swiggy or Zomato. Both of you. You'll be on the scooter the entire day. Take your savings, donate it to Ramakrishna Ashram. Take your salary and savings, give it to Ramakrishna Ashram, save your zero. तू भी काम पे लग जा, मैं भी काम पे लग. पूरा दिन स्कूटर पे रहो, झगड़ा ही नहीं करो. You will be tired, come back and sleep. Get up in the morning, go back, deliver food, come back and sleep. You'll be together. Actually, ये जो कंप्यूटर वाला काम है, it's also a headache. ये desk jobs है, accounting, computer science. It's just mental. It's just sitting there and doing something. So very.
One question, please.
Yeah.
Here. To my understanding, the whole process up to realization, justice plays a very pivotal role.
Yeah.
Means that's a transition point, 4.5.
Yeah.
So from 4.5 to 5 to achieve that. So what is this intrinsic situation? Can you explain more?
So in order to do that, you have to first ingrain the understanding of what is justice and what is order and what is truth, which really is to be able to understand these different dimensions. So basically everything we've been talking about. And the entry point really is to be able to, so what's being said here is we basically move from word to meaning. We start with word, we try to reflect on the meaning, understand the meaning, settle into the meaning, and that's how the transition happens. Alright. So I'll cover that in the last text on the last day. When we talk of the stages, or if you want, I can just pull it up now since you anyways. Yeah. Yeah, it's right here actually. In fact, it's not in the next lecture, right? Because I did anticipate what I do with the slides is I anticipate what kind of inquiry or what will be the flow, which is how the flow. So I'll just pull it up. What we need to do So this is what we need to do. This is our syllabus from day one, just to get knowledge of these three, yeah, which we've already seen, and this is a step. You have to first get the input for understanding. You have to do the formal study, then it will go into transformation, then it goes into development. Yeah. So I'll explain that when we come there. Yes, sir. Authentication pramanikta. In contemplation, 3A. So, Sakshatkar basically is the first uh, kind of insight into the Swabhavadharma aspect of reality. When you identify it for the first time, it is called Sakshatkar. So, you are witnessing reality directly. That's why it's called Sakshatkar. Once it's gone through Sakshatkar, then it starts functioning as Chintan or contemplation, because now you are contemplating on the meaning. Yeah? So in relationships, when you kind of match uh, these three, so lifestyle again is to do with the material dimension. So this is one thing that we can match. We can also match the qualities of a person, okay, and their for now swabhava. I mean, because in a relationship, really, like I said, you're what you feel, how they are as a person, okay, and this is purpose. Purpose plus swabhava. See, in most marital relationships, the purpose may not play such a significant role. It's not that we're going to sit and figure out, okay, both of us need to. Sometimes it's that way. Like it's really, both of us will do the same thing with our lives. We will try and save the world or plant coconut trees or, stem global warming. And I'm sure there are people who marry like that. So people who are in maybe Greenpeace Foundation and so on and so forth. Where the lifestyle matches and their purpose of life matches. But it's quite possible that the irritants really are the qualities and just how they are as a person. So when you're looking at Swabhav, we're looking at values like, honesty, uh, and things like that. And in qualities, you're looking at things like obstinacy. I mean, we can both be working in Greenpeace. We are both signed up to save the planet. Both of us have the same standard of living, the same lifestyle. We have the same kind of car. We have money. But we just hate the fact that this guy never listens to me. Or this girl never listens to me. This is provided there is no infidelity. There is infidelity anywhere out. Because you've gone outside the boundary of marriage. So उसमें तो आपने तो मर्यादा तोड़ दी. So we will. So despite everything else matching, the purpose for Swabhav, the lifestyle, sensory, again, lifestyle is also what you've gotten used to, but really this. So usually what bombs in relationships is quality and, the Swabhav. Not so much the purpose. Like I told you, mine, both Gaudi and I, we don't work. Our lifestyle is the same. We come from the same social class. Our family structure is very similar. We have similar intellectual things, similar in the same kind of region, and although it's different, we have the same purpose. We both play the same 12 books that we are devoting our life for. But what are the differences? The differences are really these qualities and the swabhav. Okay, one person listens less, one person listens more, one person is able to do something this way, one person is not able to do something this way. And also the demands we make from each other. So really when we get to relationships, we see that one of the biggest problems is really the expectation we have of having it my way. So in relationship, these are really the four, 1, 2, 3, 4. So purpose, if you remember that they are also written capability here. Okay, I drawn a triangle when Sahil had asked this question. Sahil, his name was Sahil. Sahil Sayed, yeah. Capability, qualities or tendencies, and lifestyle or way of doing things. Okay. So sometimes they're frustrated with the fact that somebody is not capable of understanding or seeing things in a particular way that we seem to be. And that's not necessary. mean, it's not essential that if I'm an economist, the wife should also be an economist with the same level of intelligence. You can have a colleague. They may not necessarily be a life partner. I remember the name of that person's wife. Abhijit Banerjee's wife is called Esther Duflo. They shared the Nobel Prize in Economics. I just remembered it about 2 years ago.
So if the qualities don't match, then is that grounds for divorce? Like, sorry, not qualities, purpose.
No.
Is there ever
So
like
if the purpose is, so the thing is, when we're talking outside of the purview of what we're discussing here, then the purposes, if they're very conflicting, and really when you look at purpose and viewpoint, somebody just feels living a life, whatever, in the city and consumerist lifestyle is good, and somebody feels that the purpose of life has to be something over and beyond that, then the problem there is not so much that we're not able to stay together, but you cannot stay in the same place, because to fulfill that purpose you have to be in two different locations. And the very purpose of relationship is really to be together. Otherwise you can do it on the phone or on WhatsApp, right? So that can be a ground for not being able to stay together. But if that itself is not an issue, then that itself need not be ground for separating. And if that's still happening, then the reason really is we've not looked at the reason to get married. When we look at marriage as an overall umbrella of being together, and maybe we'll spend some time on the marriage, relationship tomorrow, day after tomorrow, or the day after that. This is why I said we'll do it for 10 days. Jaldi nahi hai na? That you have to rush through everything. We always feel there is more days left. um, uh, so if we look at the entire purpose to get married, on all the different layers, and if both parties really sign up for that, then they're able to really work through all this. And I think traditionally that's what happened. Although people were not individually clear about the purpose of marriage, because that's the way it had been happening in society, that becomes really your image. That marriage is not something you can walk out of. ये पक्का हो गया, ये this is like a determination, and that is there forever and ever. That's the way society was. And so what really happens is, although there is no clarity and lifestyle, well, so this was not an issue. So the properties and qualities and capabilities don't match. You still drag along. Okay. And yeah. Now because that's been disturbed, we are on our own. 3A contemplation. Chintan. ये चिंतन लिखा है. So this is साक्षात्कार, what we call it. So I'll write the activities here, because then we'll have it. This will become a little compressed, but just bear with me on that. Okay. So this is called, this activity is Chitran. This activity is called Chintan or contemplation. And when it is inaugurated for the first time, it is called Sakshatkar. Sakshatkar means witnessing reality. What aspect of reality? Swabhav and Dharma. Okay. Which activity witnesses Roop? Man. I see you, your reality, you're real. Yeah, I cannot deny the fact that you're here. He is also there. This workshop happened, true or false? True. It is happening. Dharwad exists. So we trust existence. है ना, जो आंखों से दिखता है वो सही है, वो बोलता है मैंने आंखों से देखा है, लेकिन इधर चित्त से देखना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि स्वभाव धर्म आंखों से दिखता नहीं. I can't see. Remember when we talk about self and body, it is not visible to the naked eye. It is not just visible to analysis. But if we pay attention, we can say, yeah, the needs are different, the activities are different, the faculty of believing exists in the self. So this is Chintan or Sakshatkar. Then the next one is called comprehension, or both. This here is called so, or even resolution, yeah? Not like New Year resolution. This is like a permanent resolution. And this is called realization or anubhav. बोध और अनुभव में अंतर. तो बोध में धर्म क्लियर होता है ना, एंड अनुभव में जाके धर्म और सत्य दोनों क्लियर होता है एज वैल्यू. सो इधर रूप क्लियर होता है, इधर रूप गुण क्लियर होता है, इधर स्वभाव क्लियर होता है, इधर स्वभाव धर्म क्लियर होता है, इधर धर्म सत्य क्लियर होता है. क्लियर मतलब फुली क्लियर. उसके पहले सबका एस्टिमेशन होता है. बिफोर दैट यू हैव एन एस्टिमेशन ऑफ एवरीथिंग. Like all of us have some estimation of reality, right? All of us do. Like I said, you'll not find a human being with zero nyaya, with zero justice, who is completely, absolutely, and always cruel. Not possible. Who is completely, absolutely, and always in favor of disorder. Even if he tries to disturb all the things that woman makes a disorder, he look at it and feel it is orderly, disorderly order. You cannot run away from order. You know, like for example, you have an untidy room. The clothes are thrown in one side, the chappal is outside, the bed is unkept. But that's the way you like it. That is order for you. You can't run away from order. Nobody can deny their own existence. So that is the truth. Nobody can say I'm not there. I mean, not for too long. They have to accept their own existence. So the uh, the perspective or the ability to see what is nyaya, justice, order, and truth is ingrained in all of us. Okay, it's ingrained because these activities are the same in everyone. Now, this is important. Just pay attention for a moment. So, this is realization, and this is evidencing or authentication. Authentication is a nicer word. We'll have to rewrite the English language in about 300 or 400 years. I mean, some parts of it, give it some better words. So, this is called the intellect. I'll leave this blank. We'll fill it up later. So, this section that we've written in blue is intact and invariant in all humans. So, that's the beauty of it. This is the same in all of us and is incorruptible, which is why we can all understand the truth in exactly the same way, always and always. You remember when we spoke of understanding, I said understanding has to be perennial, it has to be the same, it has to be free of race, gender, nationality, belief. And the reason we are able to do that is really because of this. If this is here, then this puts a kind of like a default force on the chitran to always seek for what is true. Yeah. What do you want, sir? So when we are working, yeah. So when we live in only 4.5 activities, like health and profit are active for most of us, and there are tendencies for justice, order, and truth which are varying, and there are different beliefs about it. So the typical way in which we operate is via the man. We taste things outside in the senses, okay, or in the external world. We interact with people and we interact with nature, and then we keep making choices here. And all the evaluating and analysis we do is based on the experience that we've had in the external world. And if it is found to be something that I like or something that I prefer for my health or is advantageous to me, then I say, yeah, acha hua. And if I find that it is not advantageous and not profitable, I'll say, yeah, bura hua. This was not a good thing to happen. What the image or chitran does is keep watching this and the external world and keep recording things. So this is like an infinite recorder we have inside ourselves. It has an infinite series of images, information, and internal and external experiences. Okay. So as this information is stored in the chitran or recorded in the chitran, what happens is at some point or some instance, this becomes now my desire. So now in order to fulfill this desire, I will evaluate it and do analysis. In order to fulfill that analysis, I will have some expectation of taste. In order to do that, I will make a choice. For instance, and this is how advertising really works. It takes advantage of the fact, unknown to us, this is what MBAs in marketing really do, digital market, whatever market. We're basically trying to instill images in people that they may or may not want, but that they should buy because it's profitable for me. HDFC का एक advertisement है, retire with pride. Use HDFC retirement plan. What happens? You're standing at the signal in your car on your two-wheeler and you see that. When we see that, the information comes, but now the image of retiring with pride is storing itself here. Now this becomes an inception, right? 3 months go by, 4 months go by, and I suddenly remember I have not planned my retirement. So who will I remember? HDFC. Shall call up HDFC and say, you have some plan for retirement? They say, yes, sir. So that's how it works. So this is what we call as living in 4.5 activities based. So this is like a circular loop because there is never ending profit, never ending likes, and never ending series of advice on how to be healthy. You ask everybody has some advice on how to be healthy. सबके पास एक theory है. आप सवेरे उठ के गर्म पानी पियो. Don't eat on an empty stomach. Don't be eat in the morning. Eat only 2 times a day. Eat once a day. Eat alternate days. Everybody has some theory on how to be healthy. नाक में घी डालो. घी मत खाओ. Fat मत खाओ. Vegan diet करो. Keto diet करो. Tons of. So this keeps us busy. Alright. So what is the way out? When we start seeing the need to image or understand ourselves, which is the truth, how we can be in order, which is dharma, or how to be properly with humans, we start paying attention to these three, to myself, to the Swabhav Dharma aspect of existence, and to the Swabhav Dharma aspect of relationship, which needs formal study. So I have that a few slides below. When that starts happening, I start getting these bigger images of myself, complete image of existence and complete image of human conduct. So what happens is my desire now starts shifting from only fulfilling the needs of the month outside to now doing something for myself, to do relationship the right way, to live the right way, to live with prosperity, to take care of nature and so on and so forth. So really the desire starts shifting, and the desire starts shifting, the evaluating for this desire will now start using this perspective, the blue one. Compared, because now the desire is not to do with this, the desire is to do with this domain, right? And hence this starts, when that starts happening, my thoughts change. When my thoughts start changing, my living starts changing. This is called transformation. As the transformation intensifies, at some point in time, I will start recognizing these truths for myself. That is called Sakshatkar. Okay? When a series of Sakshatkar happens, it collects into the board, and then you have what is called as board. There has to be a series of Sakshatkar. I have been attending to this is what has taken me 12, 13, 14 years, this whole process of what really happens, because you cannot see it with your eyes. Okay? When that happens, you have determination to live according to that. Then you become joint director. Now nobody can move you. Now nobody, also government now, once you get government service, it's very difficult to remove the person. Because you are appointed by the President of India, and मेरे पिताजी के office में there was this junior scientist, it's called technical officer A, TOA, TOB, ऐसा एक था. So he, my father that time was joint director or director, one of, I don't remember, associate, कुछ तो थे. He retired as a director finally. So this guy went missing. He is in a DRDO lab. Now this is a security problem. If a defense employee goes missing, they have a problem. So then they had to file a police complaint, and they had to keep the thing open for almost 8 years because you cannot sack him. And that's the rules of. Basically his spot went vacant, and so it was shown as a security problem, and he's not there, and they're still trying to look for him. One day, some scientists went to some village somewhere near Kolhapur, and there was a small temple. So Gadi stopped करके, they went into the temple. They found that scientist sitting there. He was a pujari. He said, "Boss, what are you doing here?" He said, "नहीं, मैं पुजारी बन गया 8 साल से." He said, "Why?" He said, "I was fed up with that life. I like this life better." He said, "Everybody is looking for you. Your wife is looking for you. The police are looking for you. The government of India is looking for you. You come and resign and go back. You have to close your case." So then finally they had to come, launch an inquiry, basically say, "ये भगवान के पास भाग गया." Not towards Pakistan. So nothing to worry there. And then they closed the case. So anyway, so once that happens, nothing can change. So what happens is when we have determination, because it is based on the truth, now these images cannot change. Otherwise, it changes. It's fluctuating. Now, what are the images? Images of myself, about existence, about living. So then I cannot fight. And even if there is a fight, okay, I will not get disturbed. I know what is right. I'll know how to wait out the fight and then do whatever is necessary to reform the position. So, आपने जो बोला, if there is a problem in couples, it's a long journey to get there. To get one of them to reach a position where they will not be disturbed by the other, they have to go through this whole. I mean, existentially, there is no other way. Okay. So then, practically, what can be done? We can't wait for so long. They may never even come and sit and listen. All right. So the only way is to do some counseling around what is the purpose of marriage and things like that. You can't start with self alag hai, body alag hai. They'll run away. They'll say, I will divorce you if you talk to me like that. You'll have to do what is practically possible. Haji. So this. So I'll write the last one if you don't jump. Okay? हाँ? नहीं, इसके बाद कुछ नहीं, इसके बाद खत्म हो गया, 5 ही है, 50 नहीं है. It's very interesting. The human journey, intellectual human, the journey of agriculture of 6,000 years, 10,000 years, even 20, can be mapped based on the development that we've been seeing in these activities. Okay? So this is called buddhi. I'll just draw the line so that it gets. Yeah, so that is the Shakti of this one. So Ichha, Vichar, Asha. I'm sorry, this is kind of displaced. Okay? So ये दोनों जो है, they have to come under this. Okay? These two. They are shifted here. So it's proper in the board. Okay? Not here. So if you see, there is expectation, thought and desire, and I left these two blank. So Ritambara comes here. And this is Praman. So they are Shakti. This is the Gati Kriya. This is called Paravartan. This is the Sthiti Kriya and it has a name. So there's Pratyavartan, Paravartan, Sthiti Kriya, Giti Kriya. First I didn't know I existed. Now I have 10 activities and there are 20 names inside me. Okay. So we have to give ourselves some time. Alright. So this really is the left and right. This is not as neat as I would have liked it to be, but it's neat on the board. So, I think that should not be an issue. So who does? So really the way we read it is, the man does tasting and the man makes choices. The vritti does weighing and the vritti analyzes. The chit should be doing sakshatkar, is waiting for sakshatkar, but right now is doing chitran and does ichha. This put together is what I call as me now. Sometimes I'm the body, sometimes I'm my shoe, sometimes I'm my house, sometimes I'm the mango fruit, sometimes I'm into money, sometimes I'm an angry person, sometimes I'm a devout person, sometimes I'm a very good person. That's what's happening. The identity based on what is operative, I associate myself with that particular activity. Okay? Yeah. So this is buddhi. So this is man, this is vritti, this is chit, this is buddhi. English words are really the experiencer, disposer, disposition, psyche, and intellect. So it's not so easy to become an intellectual. Right now we call chitran and visleshan as intellect. When you say somebody is very intelligent, it's their ability to analyze very fast or to form images and read patterns very quickly. Okay? Right, sir? So we'll proceed. We spent a little more time on this than I would have imagined we would.
Just a question, Yasmin. Like in Sakshatkar, like it is very clear in the weighing wala part, like we can see likes, health, profit, everything is so visible in self. Same way, person living in Sakshatkar, like what will be the how will be the person's behavior or spiritual or intellectual
Will
or
be
material,
human.
like how what will be the parameters or the checkpoints to check the praman whether the person is in sakshatkar or not.
That will be out of scope of our introductory session. We can take it in the evening, maybe, or on the phone. Yeah. I've been working on that myself. I have a long doc. I can share it with you. So 400-page document. So you can go through it.
Yeah, even like to check the self where I am exactly. Yeah, so like whether I'm moving towards that or not, like
Yeah. That's
that's it.
a matter of research right now. But really, in a nutshell, we'll have humane swabhav, humane motive, and humane drishti. That's the, in one single point, that's the mark of sakshatkar. Hu- Humane drishti, humane vishay, humane swabhav. Not love for all. Over dinner, maybe. Love for all, everybody has love for all. So many people love one, love all. सब वोट डाल के बैठे रहते, कोई लव कोई लव बहुत ऊपर है, किसी को नहीं है लव. I love you as long as you keep loving me. अभी है ये यही love है अभी. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our story and really about the self. We started with the ability of imagination. We came down to we saw the functioning of the self very briefly. Again, it's a lot. In about 7 hours, we've introduced, activities in the conscious self. And right now, there's a lot of thought in the world grappling with the fact of whether we are in the brain or we're not the brain. It's called the heart problem of consciousness, whether mind and body are even different or not. And we've not only kind of waded into that territory, but also really, exploded the activities in the sense. So it's really okay to feel a little, whatever, overwhelmed or feel that you need time to digest this. But we'll anyways proceed in the interest of time, because the objective really of the introductory workshop is to be able to give you a spectrum of what is needed to be done. Number one, to be able to get you to have some sense of feel that you're able to see something, that it makes sense. Because if I just continue to, put it out as a syllabus, and it will seem very vague. That's the reason we have these pauses and examples and activities, etc. So you feel you are able to get a glimpse and say, this seems to make sense. All right, and that's what takes time in the session, not the content itself. All right. Um, so we already saw this, so I won't repeat it. You can read it at home. Everything is partial. All right. So what do? Uh, so this is important. So to live with assumptions or conditioning or beliefs with the primary focus on consuming material things can be called as living in underdeveloped or animal consciousness. It is called underdeveloped consciousness or aviksit chetna because only 4.5 of the 10 activities in us are functioning. We are ignorant of the true nature of the other aspects. Okay. It's also called animal consciousness. So here it is called underdeveloped because out of 10, only 4.5 are functioning. It's also called underdeveloped animal consciousness or Jeev Chetna because our primary object of study and the basic goal of such living is material things or sensory pleasure. Or if you are beyond that, then we'll continue to live assuming that the self is the body, and our behavior is indefinite. So hence this is called as living in animal consciousness, and that will become a little clearer as we look at existence, maybe today or tomorrow. And hence this is also called living in illusion. This is called Brahm. Okay. And we covered that briefly earlier when we said we have incomplete views or beliefs. Remember on the second day. So now we understand where that really comes from. The mic open.
We assume the self to be the body, and our behavior is indefinite. That is our assumption. And if this assumption is wrong, it means our behavior is definite. Correct? This is again the same thing, right? The nature of human is definite. Is that correlation we're talking about? कि एक order है, उसी तरीके से चीजें होंगी
हाँ
और ये हम indefinite तरीके से नहीं
जी
है।
नहीं
भाई क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं?
किसमें
We
no,
assume the self to be the body and our behavior is
ये दोनों हो रहा है ना. One is they're assuming that I am the body, and that comes with its own series of problems because of I am the body, then happiness is material things, and so on and so forth, right? The other issue also is that even if my assumption of being the body is not that strong, because there are ranges there. There are some people who are totally just the body and nothing else, which is why they keep trying and pasting the body and trying to not make it grow old. There's this guy who spent, I don't know, some $100,000 every year to make sure he doesn't age. So he is actually using plastic surgery and whatever. He is always managing to look 20 years younger. Start and useless. So that's an instance of a very deep entanglement of the belief that I am the body. Although all of us do believe that the self is the body, the degree of entanglement is not the same in everyone. The varying degrees based on how strong the image is. Okay, that's one problem. The other issue is that our behavior is indefinite, and again the degree of indefiniteness varies. Somebody may be extremely cruel, and somebody may be cruel only once. There's a spectrum there. It's not just one thing. Overall, it is indefinite. And what is definite? Basically, having human drishti, human perspective, human objectives, and human swabhava. Human one. So it doesn't have the human swabhava. So hence it is indefinite. So under some conditions, the behavior ends up becoming indefinite. That's the problem. That's what's being said here.
and if now we correct with correct understanding, if we and with resolution, we now understand that self and body are separate.
Yeah.
And we start working on self, or like whatever our future course of plan be, then we do not focus that much on body and we let it be the way it is. Is that how we are interpreting it?
So not necessarily that. It's not that we're not concerned with the body. We'll take care of the health of the body. Our identity is along with the body. It's not that I am some abstract thing in space and the body is lying there and I have nothing to do with it. ऐसा नहीं है. That is virakti. मैं शरीर नहीं हूँ, so I don't care for the body. You can starve to death. I don't care what I wear. No. You're still a human being and you're a compound experience and expression of these two. It's just that there is a surgical difference in my actions and desires. There are these things I do for my development, these things I'm doing for taking care of the body and taking care of the body of the other people in the family, and so on and so forth. So somebody falls sick, I'm going to give them Mahasudarshan Kada, not saying that is the body or the self, let the body die. Don't take the Kada. And we gave Kada to some people last year. सर्दी हो गया कोई चिंता नहीं जी शरीर है मरने दो आप तो बने ही हुए हो ये नहीं वो विरक्ति है so this is सहज चित्त बात है ना that's why we try to so that's not the how that would come yeah but really for now the idea is just to be able to understand and ingrain the different concepts and not really try and imagine what it would be like to be in XYZ state because that's again only going to be an imagination. I mean, if you try and describe what it is to live in both, it will only become another imagination. We focus on what we need to study, yeah, because that's our incremental way forward.
If everything in this space is self-organized and energized by space, and human consciousness is also one of the units, can we say that it is overpowering the space because it is expected to be natural and it should have its definite conduct, but it's not behaving like that. It is something out of the definiteness. So can we say that it is overpowering the space or the equilibrium energy?
No, that wouldn't be very correct to say that it is overpowering space. No, it's trying to find out how to be, and we'll see that when we look at evolution. and why we are the way that we are. We're really trying. It's not that we're not trying. I mean, nobody wants problems and this mess. We're trying very hard to be good people. We're trying to be good to family. None of us really want to be really bad. But despite all those good hopes and expectations and everything, kuch na kuch to ho ja raha hai, individually, family, and society wise. Yeah, so it's almost like um, it's called awakening progression. The progressive awakening of the activities in the conscious self that makes it seem that way. Yeah.
It appears to be a superpower than the equilibrium energy.
No, it's not a superpower because it can't go beyond that. It can
Existing within the space, but space is having no control upon its behavior.
Yeah, because space is not a doer. We'll get to that tomorrow. Space cannot control because space is no activity. If it was an activity, it could have done it for us. Okay. So really, so what needs to be done? So we started this and we said, so you see, to live with this as a primary motive or view and beliefs about the rest is called animal consciousness. Okay, we have beliefs about the rest which are not clear, and to live with the understanding of all these aspects is called human consciousness. So what is needed is really this shift in consciousness, and this is what we need as humans. So shifting from living in animal consciousness to human consciousness, and that can be done by having knowledge. And what is the knowledge we need? The knowledge of these three aspects: the self, existence, and human conduct. In what dimensions? Understanding the dimension of Swabhava and Dharma. And how will that happen? By understanding what is justice, order and truth. Okay. So that really is a summary. So the perspectives of life, health, and profit, and when we have incomplete or biased justice, religion, and truth, or the assumption that self equal to body is equal to animal consciousness, and having the perspective of justice, religion, and truth, and regulated life, health, and prosperity, and understanding that I am self plus body. अंतर क्या हो गया? Self equal to body, self plus equal to has become plus. That's it. Nothing disappears. Body disappear हो गया, self disappear हो गया. That's not happening. Alright. So this is really this is what is really needed. So living with all 10 faculties is called living in developed consciousness or Viksit Chetna, and hence it is called awakening. We are not creating reality. I'm not creating myself. I'm not creating spirituality. I'm not creating the peace. I'm awakening to what already exists, and hence it is called Jagrati. And this is why it's free, because there's nothing getting transacted. I don't have to give you something like Batman or Superman. You can't give anything back to me. I can't kick you and awaken you. Nothing. Okay, that's not going to happen. If somebody is getting kicked and awakened, it means that they were anyways awakened somewhere, and the kick helped open up that door. Maximum explanation is now such that भैया वो गुरु लोगों के पास ही रहने देते हैं. Very difficult. That it's not that it doesn't happen. The thing is वो शिक्षा में नहीं आ सकता है. And those experiences, then we don't know how to manage those experiences. It may not necessarily make us better people. It may not necessarily lead us to happiness. It may just make us. I've met some people who've gone through this experience and they've ended up becoming weird. Now nobody can understand them. They don't fit in anywhere. They still have their wife and family. They don't know what to do with this guy. I mean, there was somebody who went through these experiences, and I met this person, and he was not lying. There are explanations for that. That's a different issue. And he said there was so much of heat in his body that he had to keep his hands and feet in buckets of water the whole day to cool himself. And the water will be hot, and people will go and have a bath with it. Now, what? See, let's say he's not lying, but what will he do with this? I mean, what? I told you, we can heat water with cow dung. Why do I need Shaktipat to heat water? My body is getting hot. So, some of these, so we have to find out the purpose of all this. Okay. So, we don't know the dimension. Yeah, basically, these kind of stories that we hear are due to activities in the self, usually to do with the chitta. They are abilities that people get by changes that happen inside the chitta or the psyche. See, just written 5 kriyas, so this is very powerful. These are the kriyas that send somebody to the moon. This Chitran has landed a rover on Mars 100 million miles from here, where the temperature is minus 100 degrees Celsius and it is controlling it from here. इतना छोटा थोड़ी है. It's not a trivial thing, right? Very powerful. It's able to put aeroplanes in the sky. 800 of us fly and we don't fall down. So the abilities in the cells are not trivial, that we can just write it in, few cells here and there. When you think of the import of it, on what humans have been able to, do so far, it's because of the activities in the cell. Okay? We break. So we will come back and close this topic. We're almost closed. I think we've had enough. So let me just finish this and then we'll go and have tea break. So when we come back, give me like 3 minutes. All right. So what really happened? I already went through this in brief, so I'll just let it be there. You can. So when we live with A, which is the block on top, the section on top, that's called living with human consciousness. When you're living only with the second section, the lower section is called B, that's called living with animal consciousness. So what is really needed is shifting from here to there. So now this explains, at least in theory or logically, everything. I can see less because I'm using less. I cannot live fully because I don't have everything fully. Right? So that's like the logical explanation for it. So when these function, we have certainty and definiteness. When only these function, there is uncertainty and indefiniteness. Is it like 0 and 1? No, it's a range. Well, I was less uncertain, now I'm little less uncertain, now more certain, fully certain. Indefinite, less indefinite sometimes, only when I'm hungry, only when somebody hits me, only with my wife, sometimes with my wife, never with my wife. ऐसा ठीक है. ऐसे होता है ना, थोड़ी ना एक आदमी आज बेवकूफ था कल सडनली जागृत होगा, ऐसे तो होता नहीं है ना. पत्नी बोलेगी कुछ तो सुधार हुआ है ना. पहले रोज चिल्लाता था, अब संडे संडे चिल्लाता है ना. अभी जब भूख है तब भौंकता है, तो पूरे दिन भौंकता. कभी कभी सुनता था, काफी ठीक हो गया, काफी सुनता है तुम तो. So it's rare. Wives will never praise you. I don't know why that is. They will never say anything अच्छा. परसों when Gauri and I conversed for the first time in 4 days. मैं तो कुछ कर रही थी, मैं कुछ कर रहा था. So I was sitting yesterday after lunch or in the evening. So she said the session, मुझे लगा कुछ बोलेगी, अच्छा हो रहा है, तुमने अच्छा स्लाइड बनाया. You have to, you said this and इससे confusion होगा. This is what you have to correct. I kept looking at her. ऐसे बाबा 4 दिन से बोल रहा हूँ, उसने एक लाइन अच्छा बोला नहीं, एक लाइन इधर का उधर हो गया. That you have to point out and see इसको तुम ऐसा बोलो. So to have perfect. So when sometimes we joke, somebody asks how will I know if I have realization, I can get confused also. I said, look, these are the technical conditions, these are the behavioral conditions. If your wife says that you have become a totally new man and you are like that forever, then तुम मानो, है ना. उसके पहले मान लो कि you there is something missing, है ना, and you have over evaluated yourself. So but other people's husband, not their own husband. Yeah. So what do we need to do? This is not very difficult. I already covered this. This is the knowledge that we need. So we have to do whatever is needed to get this knowledge. Okay. And how will that happen? That will happen in these 3 phases. So the first is to get input. Right now what you're getting is an introduction that you need this. So you have to take the input which comes from formal studies. You have to understand. It comes by a formal study. This is called listening or Shravan. So what happens in Shravan? We have understanding. But what is that understanding like? It is of intellectual assimilation and we're able to synthesize things. Like even today is just the 5th day. You may get the feeling that life is making a little more sense now than it was, let's say, 5 days ago. Or maybe a little more confused. But towards making more sense. We're trying to bring the entire thing together. So this is called synthesis. Then we undergo something called transformation. When we adopt the synthesis, that is called practice. This is what I am doing now. Okay. Again, some technicalities here. And then we go to what is called development. So this is called consciousness development. Having contemplation, having both and having it. The moment Sakshatkar starts, we have gone into the development zone. Before that, we are transforming. Before that, we are realigning. Before that, we're getting introduced. Before that, we're eating pizzas and burgers. Okay, so um, that's what we need to do. So to just quickly summarize, the conscious activities are weightless, they're continuous, they're inexhaustible, and they're inseparable. ये separate नहीं होता है. Okay, I leave thinking, I leave desire, I leave. ये होता नहीं. It's not possible to do that. And quickly summarizing, last summary: every human is a coexistence of self, which is consciousness in a material body. The conscious self or Jeevan is the same in every human. The same activities in all humans. Okay. And it's called Jeevan because it has the will to live. Jeene ki asha. That is fundamental to us. All of us want to live. All animals want to live. We want to live with happiness and understanding. If we want to be good, we want to be knowledgeable. So that's us. It has the same power, forces, functions, and abilities. Sab mein wahi hai. Our ability to use it is differently developed, but everybody has the same abilities. All self want to be happy and comprehensively, and it has the same destination. We are all heading to the same ocean, not in random different directions. We all want the same thing. We all get confused the same way, and we all become right the same way. Okay. It functions also because of the same reason. Malfunctions also because of the same reason. जैसे प्रॉफिट के लिए पागल होता है, वो भी बिकॉज ऑफ द लाभ दृष्टि ओवर गोइंग इनटू ओवरड्राइव. ओके, एंड व्हेन इट हैज द राइट अंडरस्टैंडिंग, इट लिव्स इन ह्यूमन ट्रेडिशन, इन फैमिली, कम्युनिटी एंड सोसाइटी. ऑलराइट, सो दैट्स द so this I will not read. So I'll give it to you. You read it at home. Okay. You remember we were drawing 3 columns and how it is different. Okay. And I filled this. So who am I? ये नया fill कर दिया. In idealism, these are the options available. I am is an illusion. The other option is I am the supreme self. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not this. I am the supreme reality. What are the names given? I am the Jiva. I am the Jivatma. I am the Atma. I am the Purusha. I am the soul. I am Root. This is a very short description. Or I am is an illusion में मैं नहीं हूँ आ जाता है ना. In materialism, I am the body or the brain. I am in the brain. I am a projection of the brain. These are the 3 possibilities. What is being said here is I am a human, coexistence of the body and conscious self. Conscious self is distinct with faculties and I want to live with happiness. This whole thing put together is called the self. Okay? We'll break for tea. Take a nice half an hour break.